planners and bullet journals, art projects, organized planner sheet.
Well, hello, Planner Babes, and welcome to Organized Planner Chic. I'm Lucinda, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so and select the bell for notifications. I publish 1 to 2 recorded videos per week on planning, junk journaling, craft room organization, and related shopping hauls. I also post an additional live video most weeks. And I want to thank all my Patreon members who help make it possible to create videos like this. Well, thank you guys so much, and if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. Okay, Planner Babes, let's dig into my new mental health journal, which I just put together. I'm really excited about using this. I just started using this, and it is the month of December, so I'm planning for the new year. And the reason why I put this together is because, at the end of all my videos, I always say, everyone, please take care of your mind, body, and spirit, because when one area suffers, they all suffer. And in this past year that we're ending, I have done a really good job of taking care of my body and spirit. But there were so many changes. I mean, difficult changes, health changes, major stuff. Almost all of them were health related to someone in my family and serious health stuff. And it was so many changes. I couldn't really keep up with one change before there was another one, and it was so challenging to take really good care of my mind. When I look back, I did a pretty good job considering, but as someone with PTSD, it's a lot of work for me to maintain that mental health, and I had gotten to such a healthy place doing my routines and doing the things that I learned in therapy and going to Celebrate Recovery and having friends and a therapist to talk to. But it was just so much unexpected major stuff that I would feel inadequate and I would kind of get overwhelmed pretty quickly. And so a couple of times I got depressed. And I realized and have learned that in these situations, we do have someone with a what do you call a terminal illness living with us. And so it is normal. It would be abnormal if I didn't get down, if I wasn't struggling sometimes with the challenge of that and other things. But I really wanted to have something that I could reach for, including my Bible. I do reach for my Bible as well, definitely. God is my source and my strength. But sometimes we need a little something, just a little mental check to be able to take that thought captive to the mind of Christ, because sometimes things can be so hard and so heavy that you can't think straight. You can't recall or go straight to the thing that's the healthiest for you. And so I put together this. Part of it is a sort of a mental health kit, and we'll talk about it as we go. But as far as what I'm using, you can use anything. If you're planning on creating something like this, I already had this journal for years that I had not used yet, because y'all know I got a bunch of this stuff and I love pink and green. So I thought I'm going to use that one because I wanted something that was colorful and vibrant, something that I would be excited to use. And I apologize, there's some glare in here, you guys. I'm going to open this up in a minute and it'll cover it. But something that would be exciting and pretty for me to use. And then I just added some stuff to it. So this had a little tassel for marking the journal page that you're on. And instead of doing that, I just decided to decorate it and have it hang out. So I just pulled it out. I used some Dollar Tree beads and just added those on there because the hole is a lot smaller than the width of the ribbon. Then I just took some tape, some masking tape, and taped it to narrow that at the end, and then ran the beads through, and then I cut the tape off and I ran the ribbon through the last bead. And this just came from a gift bag and I just liked it. I save all that stuff, y'all. And then some Dollar Tree ribbon there. This is also Dollar Tree ribbon that's just tied onto a Dollar Tree ponytail holder. I like to get those in the sets that they sell at Dollar Tree because you get a whole bunch of them for $1.25 now. And I don't use them for my hair because I have way too much hair for that, but I use them for things like this. So we'll just go right on the inside and you can see what tools I have in this. So, yes, I want everything to be pretty and exciting and fun so that I will want to open this up and use it. You know, again, when you get sad, when you get anxious or depressed, it can be hard to do what you know to do. So, this will always be right by me everywhere. And so here I have a little Dollar Tree bag. It was, yeah, this is the full bag. It's from the party section where you can get like 10 or I don't know, a bunch in a bag. In one plastic bag, you know, the store bag for holding the product. There's a bunch that comes in there, and I just used some permanent Dollar Tree, gosh, can't talk, permanent double-sided tape to tape it into the inside of the journal. And then I just have some little sheets of colorful pink and green paper for whenever I run across something maybe that I just want to jot down, but I don't know yet how I want to say it, or if I want to decorate something that I can pull out as a card for something that's helpful, that's encouraging, just anything. I just wanted to have some extra little paper here, and I wanted, of course, to be colorful. And so then I just wrote on here my mental health journal and the date that I'm starting it. And then these are all Dollar Tree stickers in different sets. I know they look like they all came in the same set, but they came from like 4 different sets, and they're the puffy kind. And I know sometimes when you plan, you don't like to have these big puffy ones, but for journaling they can be really fun, and I love the texture of them. And of course they have the colors that work perfectly here. So again, that's something that I will want to look at. And then when we turn in here, we're going to come back to this, but this is a worksheet that I received when I was completing PTSD therapy, which I did. I finished November 15th of 2018, and I still reference these sometimes, and I definitely needed to and did do that after some of the changes that happened in this year. But we'll come back to that. And then here is something that I found online that I kind of ran with, and we'll look at that. So this I found from mind.org.uk, and it is called a mental health first aid kit. In fact, I think on that website, if it wasn't that one, it might have been another one, they suggested that you use a box to put the things in. But I was like, I want a big kit with a lot of tools, so I'm probably not going to do the box. Oh, I didn't show you guys. See how this ribbon is just tied on there. Yeah, I just tied it on there, that's all. Yeah. And so here on their list, it said to put in your first aid kit, which this is what this is for me. So, if you cut your finger or you have a burn, or you're out driving or traveling in your car and you have that first aid kit, it's just enough to get you stable till you can go to the doctor or go to the emergency room, right? So this is kind of what this is. These are things that you can go to right away to help you feel better, to calm your mind, so then you can think. And so it says favorite books, films, or CDs, helpful sayings or notes of encouragement, pictures or photos you find comforting, which I didn't do that yet, so I will. A soft blanket or cozy slippers, and anything that you find comforting or distracting. And so basically distracting you from the negative thoughts that you're having. Because again, this is what this is. I'm starting to feel bad about myself. I'm starting to reflect on negative things and not on things that are pure and true and holy and of good report, like Philippians chapter 4 says. And you're like, oh, I need to get myself together. So this is that kit. So favorite books. I just wrote down a list of my favorite books. Now, I know that favorite list may change from time to time. I plan on this just being full of stuff for me to put sticky notes in, for me to, tape in additional pages and all of that. This is my toolkit. So favorite books, I wrote some of those on there. I'll just name a couple. Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. I absolutely love that book. And I actually like Les Miserables. I don't know if I'm saying that right in French, but I Les Mis, you guys know the movie, the play. I read that in high school my senior year, and it has always been one of my favorite books. I saw the movie and I saw the play many moons ago when my son, who's now 27, was not even a year old. Yeah, so I need to see it again. I loved it. And then I've got my favorite songs. You know how sometimes a song can just turn things around in your mind, right? So one of my favorite songs is This Is Amazing Grace by Phil Wickham. And another awesome song, oh my gosh, awesome song for when you're down or when you're feeling defeated or when you're stressed, worried, whatever it may be, is called Encourage Yourself. Check that out, y'all. Encourage Yourself by Donald Lawrence and the Tri-City Singers. That is a powerful, powerful song. Just, wonderful songs that lift your spirits. Let the Praise Begin by Fred Hammond. It helps you to take your focus off your trial and on your praise of God, who is the only solution to whatever you're going through. The only hope, right? And He Reigns by Kirk Franklin. Love that song. The energy of that song and being reminded of who's in charge, right? And then favorite movies. Y'all, one of my favorite movies, of course, there are a couple of Christian movies on here that I love very much. The Nativity, The Passion of the Christ, Black Panther, the original one, and Hidden Figures. But one of my favorite, probably my favorite movie, my two favorite movies of all time are Galaxy Quest. Check it out, y'all. I love, love, love that movie. There's no way I could be down and watch that movie. There's no way I could feel defeated and watch that movie. There's no way I can feel less than or ill-equipped and watch that movie. But yeah, Galaxy Quest and Scrooged. I love that with Bill Murray. And then one of my favorite TV shows for, just for your spirits to be up. And not all of these are like joyful movies, but the ones that I'm talking about right now are. And so Frasier, oh my gosh, that that show. It's an old show, but it is still so powerful and relevant. Yeah. And then favorite verses. So I have 14 favorite verses in here that encourage me, lift my spirits. Of course, Psalm 23 is definitely one, but Psalm 27, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? And sometimes, what you're afraid is not a who, it's a what. It's a situation, it's a worry. Matthew chapter 6 about not worrying because, God provides for the lilies of the field and nothing is and has more of a ray of splendor, not even Solomon than that. And how much more does your Father in heaven not care about you and provide for you? But also, one of my favorite ones is Ecclesiastes 3:12-13, the New Living Translation, because it basically says, to be happy, to eat, drink, and be merry, for these are things from God. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to enjoy life. There's nothing wrong with enjoying things. And sometimes when you're a caregiver, you feel guilty. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And God doesn't want us to feel that for enjoying ourselves when someone else is suffering. You're not doing it to them. And then just a few things, which I'm going to add more to that, feel good stuff. So I just added I added these. So they had books, films, and CDs. I added songs. Films would be movies, but CDs would be songs. Okay. TV shows, I added that. I added favorite verses, and I added general feel-good stuff. But that's kind of this category, anything that you find comforting or distracting. So really the only two things I really added were the verses and TV shows. But chai tea for me, going to the movies, spending time with a friend, creating art, any kind, singing, and organizing. And so on this worksheet, I would just encourage you to Google it and see if you can find a blank version for yourself. Otherwise, you can do a screenshot if it'll come through clearly for you while you're watching this. But it's called a Challenging Beliefs Worksheet. And basically what you do is you write down what happened. And then, what negative thing happened. And then you can use it for positive things too. But if you're struggling with difficult things, then what happened? And then here is, what was your stuck point? Like, what were you thinking about this thing that happened that you can't seem to overcome? What is this negative thing that's just kind of driving your thoughts? Because what we beliefs aren't facts. And I think she noted that somewhere. Let me see if it's on. here that, yeah, the situation is not a belief, right? Something happened. I might believe something about it, but it may not be factual. It might not be true. And even if it is factual, it might not be beneficial for me to be thinking that. So then what happened? What is my stuck point? What was I thinking about that? And then what were my emotions? Because what I thought drove my emotions. So how I feel about something determines how, what I think about something rather determines how I feel about it. So was I angry, sad? What, you can pull down online a list of different emotions. And then you take those thoughts. This thing happened. I thought this. And you challenge that thought. And it's got all these categories of like, do you have evidence that what you're thinking is actually true? Like evidence that would be acceptable in a court of law? Is it just a habit for you to believe this thing is true, or is it actually factual? These are just examples. Are you taking it out of context? Is it based on your feelings and not facts? Examples of that. And I'm going to share with an example here in a second. Are you jumping to conclusions? Are you oversimplifying? Are you mind reading? Are you emotionally reasoning? And then we'll come back to this. So basically, an example could be if you ran into a friend. This is just a general example. The results might not be the same for anyone else, but this is just an example. Maybe you run into a friend and that person either doesn't speak to you or they barely speak to you in a way that seems like they really didn't want to say anything to you at all. They just seemed generally displeased to see you. And so that's what happened. And then you think that, an example could be, you think that they're mad at you. They must be mad at me, or they're just being a real mean, stuck up person and they're just treating me bad and I didn't even deserve that. Or, oh my gosh, what did I do? I must have done something wrong. Those are some of the thoughts that a person might could have. And then if they feel that way, let's say the person thinks that, oh, they're mad at me, or they don't care about me anymore, or, they don't want to be my friend anymore. Then you might feel sad, or you might feel angry if you're like, I didn't deserve to be treated that way. And then you can spend the whole day feeling like that, or pondering over this feeling or thought that you had about this person, and it may not even be what happened. And so, that may not be it. So, for example, on the evidence 4, do you have proof that that person was feeling or thinking those things that you think that they are? Like proof that would be held up in a court of law. Is it a habit for you to feel this way when you have this type of interaction with someone who seems not to be happy or whatever when they see you? Or, is that a habit of that you just automatically believe that it must have something to do with you? Or is that a fact? These are just examples. And then you challenge those thoughts and say, well, for example, you didn't have a conversation with a person. Let's say you didn't talk to them. So you don't know what they were feeling. You don't know what they were thinking. You don't know what could have happened during that day with them. You don't know if they could have lost their job. They could have had a bad interaction with a boss. They could have got bad news about a family. Anything could have been the reason why they were acting that way, but it seems like it had something to do with you. And so some of the problematic patterns with the type of thinking are jumping to conclusions. Like, I have concluded that this is what was going on with this person and why they behave this way toward me. Another one could be mind reading. I've decided that what they were thinking was X, Y, and Z about me when they saw me and didn't speak or acted kind of harshly without explaining to me what was going on. So those are just examples. And then when you look at that, when you say, well, hey, do I really have proof that I know what was going on with that person? Or is this kind of the way that I think when I have this sort of interaction? Is it my mind that's making conclusions and making decisions about something that I really have no information on? And then you reevaluate that after you've challenged it and say, okay, what else could I say instead of this person must be mad at me, or this person doesn't care about me anymore, this person is just being a jerk and I don't deserve that? What else could you say? For example, you could say, wow, such and such seems out of sorts. I wonder what's going on. I hope he or she is okay. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just going to pray about it, and maybe I'll give them some time and check on them later. Something like that is what you could say instead. And then you could spend the rest of the day thinking about other things instead of worrying about this thing that you decided that you understand that happened. So this is just an example. And then so here, when you first had that feeling or that thought, you rate it like, I'm 80% sure this was what was going on, and I 80% feel this way about it. And then after you've evaluated, then you ask and you have alternative thoughts, then you may say, oh, well, yeah, I don't feel as strongly about that. I still kind of feel, because I kind of know this person and I feel like maybe they act like this in certain circumstances. I still maybe feel like 50%, maybe it's not, doesn't go all the way down to 20%. And then you re-rate your old thoughts. So what you thought about them, okay, you re-rate it. So this was, what else can I say? Yeah, this was re-rating your belief that they must feel this way, or however you feel about yourself as a result of that. But here is where you reevaluate what you believe. That is a little confusing, isn't it? Yeah, I have to go back and look at that. Actually, I have a screenshot for when my therapist broke it down. But then you're going to re-rate, like, do I feel the same way about this interaction now? And how do I feel about it now as compared to what I did before? Yeah, and then are your emotions, what percentage are they now than what they were before? Yeah, and so you can also take a screenshot of this. This is where it's written out what these different boxes mean and definitions for all the different types of problematic patterns and the different challenging thoughts and defining those. So you can take a screenshot, move my hand out the way of that if that is beneficial to you. I think it'd be beneficial to anyone. Yeah, this is pretty good with examples, and you can find some online as well. And then so that's what I do when I'm like really struggling. I'm getting to this area of entering into depression or anxiety because being a caregiver is hard, and one of the things that I'll touch on here in a minute is feeling guilt about that when you have someone you love that's fading away. So 20 positive short affirmations for caregivers. You can screenshot that as well. So because I am a caregiver, I'll just say a few of them. One is, I am doing my best and I am proud of myself. I will give myself the care and attention I need to thrive, because we feel guilty sometimes as caregivers because we feel bad when we take care of our own needs, but we need to take care of ourselves, right? Number 10, I will focus on things that I can control. I am my parents' best caregiver, because we tend to feel like we fall short even though we're doing the best we can. And number 18, I am stronger because of my struggles. 19, I don't have to be perfect to be amazing. Number 8, I can do anything but not everything. Number 9, I will do something for me today. Yeah, so these are really good. And I got these from revercare.com, revercare.com. And then this is just where I worked on some of the worksheet that we were looking at, the challenging beliefs worksheet. And what you can do, what I decided to do so I could use this in the journal, is I just marked off like this, and I'm going to, let me see if I did another one. Yeah, I only did one right here. So the ones I completed are up here, but I just wrote them out so I can do it on these pages. So whenever I want to write something else that I've learned or whatever, I'll just write it out. But when I get ready to want to challenge a thought, I'll do it in here instead of a binder, and I can just have all my thoughts together, all of the things that I reflected on and learned about this experience. Yeah, so I just broke that worksheet down like that. So you can take a screenshot of this as well. That might be helpful. And then in the very back, I started writing this out, and I'm not finished. So probably can't even fit it all on here, but I really actually want to write it out because I think it's very helpful information. I read the whole article, and it is by Barry J. Jacobs. He wrote it for AARP.org, and he is a licensed clinical psychologist, and it's called Caregivers Living with Guilt. And so I just wrote one of them so far, but the whole article is wonderful. And it says, don't aim for guilt-free caregiving is the very first one. And that was what I was struggling with before. Even though I had learned that all caregivers feel guilt, I didn't feel comfortable with that. I didn't know how to not feel that way, and then realize, well, you're going to feel that way, so let's work through that. So I really like this first one. It says, the feeling that we should do more and better for one another seems to be built into our species as a group survival mechanism. So that discrepancy between what you think you should do and what you're willing and able to do may always cause some guilt. Let's accept that as a given then and work on tempering the feeling. So basically he's saying you're going to probably feel like that at some times. It's kind of the way we're made. And so let's figure out how to temper that so you don't feel that all the time and you don't feel it so strongly, and you know what to do when you start to feel that way. Yeah, so one of the ones that's coming up that I need to write out is give up the fantasy of rescuing others. So just check that out again. Barry J. Jacobs, written for AARP.org. Caregivers living with guilt. So yeah, and that is everything I've got so far in here.
Well, before we close today, I want to let you guys know that I am on Instagram at Organized Planner Chic, where I post all of my creative ventures and adventures. I also have 2 Facebook groups. The one for anyone around the world is called Organized Planner Chic Crew, and the local one is called Phoenix Planner Friends for Christ.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I hope you will put together something for yourself wherever you are in life, whatever you're balancing for your mind. I feel like these are good exercises no matter what is going on in your life, whether it's a very, very, very easy, relaxing season or a challenging one. Will you guys please, as always, take care of your mind, body, and spirit, because when one area suffers, they all suffer. Please continue to pray for me, and I'll continue to pray for you. And until next time, everyone, happy planning.